What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am James Oliver Jr., co-founder and CEO of Kabila. Kabila is a co-founder matching app and a global tech startup founder community. And we're raising a $5 billion investment fund to invest in diverse co-founder teams. So stay tuned for that. We got some big news coming down the pike about that I can't talk about just yet, but we're super excited about that. And so here we are, another Kabila Conversations. And we do these things to help, the founders in our network be better founders and better humans. And today is no exception. I got a good friend of mine, Alim Charaniya. I believe I said that correctly.
You did. You sure
In the,
did.
in the building. And so Alim is a good friend now. And so before we get into this, I would like for you to tell us where you're coming in from in the comments. If you could please share this on your social media channels to invite your friends to join the conversation. And what up, Alim? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, James. Always good to have a conversation with you.
Yes. So we got people popping in already. Naomi coming in. Naomi, where you coming in from? We got who's Evie? I hope I said that correctly. From Boston. Welcome, 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 y'all. Keep them coming. Please share this out, share it out so we can get some people in to the conversation. Finland, that is what is up. Never been to Finland. I've been to Sweden. Never been to Finland. So amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So we're here talking about how to, three things to consider when you're using no code tools to build and monetize your app. And Alim is the perfect person to talk to about that because he has a company called Ambitious Labs. And before we get into that, Alim, can you tell us what inspired you to start Ambitious Labs? I was curious. I never asked you that.
No, for sure. For sure. That's a great question. So over the last 10 years, I've been building apps. Like my first app I built when I was 16 years old, it was a senior project in high school. I wrote Swift. That was actually the time that Swift was like brand new. So I wrote Swift to build that app. And I remember having to write like 50 or 100 lines of code just to build like a really simple, like one-page app. And I thought it was super cool to like build an app, right? I thought it was like amazing to control this piece of software by writing code one line at a time. I was like, wow, I can get this thing to do exactly what I want. But I hated how I had to write so much code. And there was always something in the back of my mind that was like, I hate writing code, but I love building apps. Like, I hate writing code, but I love being able to build this piece of software to do exactly what I want. So I continued my passion. I learned how to write code, ended up majoring in business in college, so that I could build startups while, self-teaching myself code. But then the next 10 years went by. I built some amazing products. I worked for a B2B SaaS company. We ended up raising a few $1 million from, the San Francisco 49ers. And I wrote a ton of code for them, like tens and tens of thousands of lines of code, and it would ruin my life. Like, honestly, it would ruin my life. I was a CTO, and,
Yeah.
CTOs are always given like unrealistic expectations and unrealistic deadlines. And so I was just grinding. I was 21 years old, and I was like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. This is my shot at being successful. So I went all in every day, all day, nights, weekends, didn't have, friends. I would just literally
That
never even
sounds
see the sun. It was
terrible for your mental health.
terrible. You know it. And I kind of chased this passion of like building things, wanting to be successful in the startup world, but it broke down my body. I went to the hospital many, many times for like GERD, for anxiety, for depression, you name it. I'll be vulnerable about it. I've
No,
been to
I
the hospital
appreciate you being vulnerable because exactly what I just said. I knew that was destructive for your mental well-being and physical too, right?
straight up, James. And there were many, many times I went to the hospital. There were times I would be scared to look at my computer. I would put my computer away and tuck it. I'd be like, I don't want to look at this thing. It scares me. Um, but I hated how I had to give up building things and like putting stuff out on the internet. Um, my hair started thinning. A lot of just bullshit
Mm,
started happening. When I was writing code all the time. Then I
yeah,
joined PrizePicks, and that was an awesome opportunity for me. I was still writing code there, but the
yeah.
work-life balance was awesome. The product that I was building was great, and I just loved building things. So I finally found a place where I could continue my passion. And honestly, B2B SaaS and just like the environment that I was in previously wasn't it.
Mhm.
So anyways, I would join PrizePicks. We were a 15-person total company at the time. And then we grew to over 300 employees. My engineering team alone was just me and a backend developer when I first started. Then we grew that team to 20. And then I was like, damn, I'm getting bored again. Like, this has just become a job now, and I want to have more skin in the game. And then I even told myself at the middle of 2022, I was talking to my managers, I was talking to my CTO, Jay, at PrizePicks. I was like, hey, Jay, I love you. I love everything. I love everything you've done for me. This is my last year writing code. It's breaking me down. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to keep building things, but I think there's a better way for me to do this. So like halfway through 2022, I stopped writing code, and I said, hey, this is my last year. I was contracting for PrizePicks toward the end of 2022, and that's when I found no code tools in Flutterflow. I'd
Yeah,
spent
and
the last
that's about when we met, when we got
yeah,
back from Techstars. Mhm.
straight up, exactly. So I spent
Yep.
the back half of 2022 just researching the no code market. I got really interested in Flutterflow because it was the only no code tool that was out there where I could build a robust product, um, and have access to the code. And as an engineer for over 10 years, like I want access to the code. Like I'm still opinionated. It's not that I want to be spoiled. I'm still very opinionated about the technology that I want to use,
Mhm.
um, and the access to the code that I have. So Flutterflow checked all the boxes for me. I saw that they were growing. They reminded me a lot of the early days at PrizePicks, and I just said, "Hey, I think this is exactly where I need to be in the world. I love teaching. I love, building things, and I think the intersection of no code and education is exactly where I need to be for the next 5 years because more people need to know how to do this." The last thing I'll say is that throughout my experience building software for the last 10 years, I've hired a lot of developers on Upwork.com and Fiverr.com. If I show you my account, you won't even believe me. You'll be like, "Where'd you get all this money from?" I spent $550,000 hiring developers on Upwork, and I was left with almost nothing. We raised a ton of money from previous companies, and I would just keep pushing that money into developers from
This
India.
is
And
before you started Ambitious Labs.
yeah, this is way before. Like this is during my days at
Yeah.
Season Share when I started my first company. We raised $2
Right.
million.
So
My
you
CEO was like,
burned through $500,000 of your own money?
we raised 2 million plus in venture, and then my CEO was like, Alim, I want you to build out an engineering department. And so I was given like $50,000 a month to build out an engineering department, and I was hiring people in the US, people in India and Pakistan, Bangladesh, and I built out like a 15-person engineering squad. We were successful in the long run, not saying we burnt it all, but it took us a lot of time and money cycling through developers, waiting for chai breaks to be done in India, waiting for every holiday in the
Not the
Indian
chai breaks.
chai breaks 4 times a day,
How many
holiday
times a day?
four, definitely four. A holiday in India every single month. And I love it. I'm Indian. I love my home country and I respect the culture. But man, like we can't get shit done as business people in the United States when we're dealing with holidays every month, right?
Oh my god, and a chai break every 4 hours.
Man, it was tough. It was tough. And don't even
Oh my
get me
god, it's
started on
hilarious.
talking about like they don't have a like I'm not going to generalize. If you're an early stage startup founder and you go to upwork.com, that's typically where most people are going. And they see $12 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an
Mhm,
hour. They go, "Oh my god, I can hire a software engineer for the price of somebody who works at a grocery store here.
mhm,
I need to go all in on that." But the
mhm,
thing is that there's a huge culture and education difference. Those people are much more labor oriented. They just want to bill you for their hours. They're not
mm,
product people. They're not going to think like a business person. They're not going to be like, "Oh
mm.
yeah, maybe I should make this button bigger so someone can click on it." No, they're not going to think like that. They're going to be like, "I'm going to do exactly what this really smart guy in the USA told me to do because he's the smarter one here." Right? So there's a big culture difference, and all these problems combined, James, was what led me to start Ambitious Labs, where now I want to teach early stage startup founders how to build apps themselves.
I wasn't planning to ask you that question to the last minute, but I'm so glad that I asked you that question. And so, hey, Naomi. Naomi's coming in from Georgia. Ayodeji is coming from London. I feel like I've been seeing that name on LinkedIn a lot here lately. I'm not
It's a dope
Ayodeji.
name.
Welcome, Ayodeji. And we got Akin coming in from the UK. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're out there, drop us a chat and comments. Let us know where you're coming in from, please, 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 and please share this out to your folks. And so I will say, we finished TechStars Austin, and we were building our app in React, and we scrapped all that and started over using Flutterflow. And we did that by working with Alim and his team. So we got Canada. Yo, Canada, ex Upwork buyer. X, love that. Fantastic. Hello from California. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see everybody in here. I love this. All right. So, look, man, I just want to get right into this, bro, because we only have another 20 minutes. Do you have a hard stop in 20 minutes?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So, we have a bunch of questions. We want to try to get to them. Um, so just 3 tips. We're here to talk about 3 things to consider when using no code tools to build and monetize your app. Like, let's just get right into it, y'all. If you got questions, please drop them in the comments, and we will do our best to get to the questions. So let's get right to it, Alim. 3 tips.
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
tell me
do
what your 3 tips.
Yeah. So I'll freestyle off the cuff. Um, let's start with like where people might be in the journey, right? Um, if you are just starting out, my first tip for you is to just build something. And that means get your hands dirty and go into a tool, whether it's Flutterflow or WeWeb or Bubble, you pick. There's so many no-code tools out there. My number one tip is just get your hands dirty and try to build something and see where it breaks. That is the best way to learn. That's my biggest learning experience. I'm a business major. I didn't major in computer science, but I'm more technical than most computer science majors who graduate college. And that's because I taught myself by breaking things, by trying new things, by solving my own problems. Um, no one's going to teach you software engineering. The definition of engineering is how to solve problems. So if you're a business person and you want to build an app, my number one advice to you is to go actually build something, break it, and try to solve your own problems. This does take a specific mindset. You do have to have kind of this problem solving, pattern recognition mindset, but that is a muscle that you can build over time. Okay. So number one
I
is
love Naomi dropping the tips up in the comments so we could just put them on the screen. Thank you, Naomi.
Naomi's awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. Build something, get your hands dirty, see where it breaks, because now you know where your weaknesses are and you know where you need to go solve. That
Mhm.
leads me to tip number two, which is okay, now that you know kind of the surface of things, now we need to learn how to speak the language, right? Every entrepreneur needs to know how to speak the language of full stack software development. And James, I know you have a CTO. Many CEOs have CTOs, and CTOs are your technical leads, primarily responsible for building your app, right? Um, you need to learn how to speak the language. I was working for my first startup season share under a previous CTO. That CTO, I watched with my bare eyes give the most unrealistic expectations to his CEO, knowing that the CEO was really good at raising money. And the CEO would keep raising money, and feed it to the CTO. And the CTO was actually not doing his job. That's because that CEO wasn't his fault. He didn't know how to speak the language of software development. He knew that there were APIs that had to be integrated into. He didn't know how long it would take for those APIs to be integrated. So the CTO would be like, okay, cool, you gave me these 4 APIs. It's going to take me a month. And I'm sitting here like a hungry college guy trying to make money. I'm like, yo, it's just 4 APIs. That won't take you longer than a week max. I'm like, why are you doing this? And he just kind of pushed me to the side, knowing that I was kind of a youngin, right?
Not
Um,
the youngin.
and
Sit down, youngin.
he would just be like, yeah, like be in your spot, like stay in your lane, bro. Like
Stay your lane, bro.
I got this. And I'm like, damn, bro, you're juicing. Like
Mhm.
I'm Indian. I'm a second generation, American. I didn't see money growing up. My grandmother was working with my dad as a 70-year-old lady, helping my dad make money. Right. Like I didn't come from a lot of money. I've seen my dad go from zero to wherever he is today. So that made me really salty. I hated seeing money get lit on fire. And even today,
Mhm.
like we raise money, blah, blah, blah. But I run this shit like it's a small business, like I'm a grocery store. And that's how my dad runs businesses: lean, profitable, and you're always about the numbers. And
Mhm.
I just can't get behind the whole notion of like startups that want to raise a ton of money and just burn it all. Right. Anyway,
Mhm.
so getting back to this whole thing. That's why I stepped up and I was like, yo, like this CEO needs to learn how to speak the language. Otherwise, he's going to keep getting ripped off by this developer. So what ended up happening over time was I blew the whistle and I was like, yo, this guy is juicing y'all. Let me be the CTO. I'll figure this out. I'm only 21, but
Did you really?
yeah, straight up on God. Like this is all right.
Wow.
This is what I did. And I told the CEO, I was like, this guy's juicing y'all. And he flew up the next day and fired him right away.
Oh, I'm guessing
And
you're not friends with that CTO anymore.
they bought back his stock. And then they were like, Alim, you got to figure this out. And they gave me all the budget that they had given him.
Wow.
They were like, figure this out. So I didn't join a fraternity in college. I didn't go to clubs. I didn't even fucking go to class. Excuse my language. I didn't even go to class. People would see me with just code open on my laptop sitting in class. No, even my professors knew that this kid wasn't listening to me. And I would just be the guy flexing, like, yo, I'm building a startup. I don't know about what y'all are doing in this business room. Only reason I'm here is because mom and dad made me be here. Um,
Oh my
so I would
god.
say that I was so damn arrogant. Like back in the day, I've humbled myself a lot, James. But
Yeah.
I used to be very out of character, but it was because I was passionate, right? It wasn't because I thought I was better than everyone else. It's just because I knew that this was the way that I wanted my life to go. I wanted to build something and fail and learn from that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so then I stepped up, and that's when I started being more realistic with the CEO. I was like, hey, there's this API, guys, and this API is returning this data. I actually can't do my job because the data doesn't exist. We need to go back to the API provider and have more conversations about the API that's being given to us. My
Mhm.
CEO loved me, and we ended up taking the company so far because we ended up, I'm not going to expose all the companies we worked with, but
Right.
we then were able to tighten our relationship with those companies, and my CEO was able to be a way better CEO, and he was able to literally take this thing to the next level because I was kind of coaching him through the technical limitations of what we wanted to build.
Wow. How old are you then?
I was 21. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So that's so the second code. So I gotta say I don't. So it sounds like you know Naomi. Naomi's amazing. She put the second tip in the comments for us. Learn to speak the language. Every entrepreneur needs to learn how to speak language of software development. So before we get into tip number 3, does anybody out there have any questions? And so I notice we got some people here in the chat, in a private chat, coming in from Irvine, Davian, Chicago, and Paul coming in from Florida. Welcome, 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 y'all. But if you got any questions like about what he said so far, drop them in the chat. You can learn more about what Alim's doing. On the bottom of the screen here is ambitiouslabs.io. You can learn more about what he's doing. As I said, we work with Alim and we built our MVP of our co-founder matching app using Flutterflow. That we learned how to do that through Ambitious Labs and Alim's Ambitious Labs Flutterflow community. So, like I'm a non-technical founder, so I don't code. I have a co-founder who's codes, but I've been a non-technical founder before building a product that required complicated software. I didn't know how to code. And actually, I burned the last $35,000 of my savings back in 2012 for my first startup. I went through Generator. I was living in Wisconsin.
Mm.
And, it was just crazy. Like, it's funny now, but it wouldn't have been funny back then. Probably would have cried if I thought about it. But what I built was good enough to get me into Generator. We got into Generator. We scrapped the whole thing.
80% of software is not even used. It's a real stat.
Scrap the whole thing. We ended up building something really brilliant. I had a good developer.
Nice.
But I just love what you're doing, Alim, with helping people learn how to build and who don't necessarily need to be technical. So let's get to the third tip. And then I just want to talk a little bit about one of the things I'm so impressed with you about is how you build these things and you like monetize them right away. So what's the third tip?
Yeah, let's talk about monetization, which is like the only reason we do all this, right? Is to make money. No one wants to work for free. The cool thing is that the barrier of entry to like getting your first users and customers is very low these days. Um, but it does take some skill. Like you can monetize your app in many different ways. With our stack, we teach like how to do monthly and annual subscriptions. I think our student base actually knows Caleb. He's like marked as a senior student in our community. So Caleb's really good at the revenue cat integration. I think he did that for Kabila too, where
Mhm.
I think you
Yep.
guys charge monthly and annual. And
Yep.
so we do that for the apps that we teach how to build too. You can charge monthly subscriptions, annual subscription. Um, the cool thing is that this is a stat that free game, 35% of in-app subscriptions start during the onboarding process. The onboarding process is the first 7 screens of your app, like from when you download it the first time to when you're like signing up for an account, customizing your preferences, you know what I'm talking about when I say onboarding, right? Everybody
Mhm,
like
mhm.
you got the
Of
first
course.
5 steps.
Of course.
35% of subscriptions start during the onboarding process, which means that as long as you have a good onboarding flow, you can make money, right? You can get people to start a trial for your app. Now you have another problem to solve. Okay. You got people to click, trial start. Now it's about, okay, how do we get that trial to convert? That's when the pressure comes on as a founder. Okay, cool. How do I get these people? I got 15 people last week to start a trial. One of them converted. How do I get that to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5? Like that's the journey of a founder. So tip number 3 is you need to be methodical about your marketing and your customer acquisition. And you're really good at this. I actually just mentioned you as like the king of like event-based go-to-market in my community because you're always doing these fantastic community building.
Oh, I'm glad somebody's paying attention, noticing,
No, I'm always everywhere. My point is that when you go to monetize, it's very easy to link up Stripe. It's very easy to put up a paywall, but it's not easy to think about marketing, right? So when you're doing your customer acquisition, think about, okay, we're doing this live event right now. We got a bunch of builders from around the world.
Mhm.
It's going to drive hopefully 30 signups to Kabila, 30 signups for Ambitious Labs. How
Yeah,
many of those 30 signups at Kabila turn into trial starts? How many of those
right.
30 signups at Ambitious Labs turn into booked calls with my sales team, right? Um, so then you can think about it as in terms of percentage. Okay, I did this thing with Kabila. It got us 10% of it got us 50 leads and we got a 10% conversion rate. Okay, cool. Now let me go try something with another company, or let me go try to buy an influencer ad and be methodical about the rate in which that converts and obsess over those rates and numbers. There was a law I read a long time ago, and it was like when you when you measure success, or like when you measure your performance, performance will accelerate. Too many founders just kind of spray and pray, and they'll buy an ad here, they'll do an event here, but they never look at the actual outcome of each individual event. Because at the end of the day, being a founder and an early stage startup founder is all about experimentation. Your job is to stay afloat for as long as possible and run as many experiments as you can. The law of numbers will be in your favor. You will hit on one of those experiments,
Mhm.
and that's the experiment that you go 10x on.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so I want to say, so I'm going to put because Naomi's on it. Thank you, Naomi. So look, for us, I mentioned earlier that we're raising a $5 million fund. We're going to invest in co-founder teams, diverse co-founder teams, founder teams with more than one gender, race, or ethnicity, and sexual orientation on the team. And we're doing that because those teams give investors a 30% greater return. So that's what we're going to be focused on. But here's the thing: you're not just going to be able to roll up off the street and be like, "Yo, can I get a check?" Nah, like we're investing in founders in our community. So if we need to get to know you, and we'll also be investing alongside other investors that we know, like and trust, who are mission, vision, and values aligned. So you can go to joinkabila.com. Hang on a second. I got so many things going on here. Let me take that comment down so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah. So go to, yeah, I'm doing all the things over here, ham and egg in it, bro. Go to joinkabila.com and join our community. Our community is free. We do events like this all the time. um, we got some really dope things coming down the pike and just connecting people to investors and accelerators. Like we're doing like pitch practice with people who run accelerators in the community. Really, really dope. And folks are like moving to the next level, final rounds of getting into some of these key accelerators like Techstars. Like we have phenomenal relationships with Techstars if that's of interest to you. So tap in, go to joincapital.com, join our community. And, like I said, when we start writing these checks, which by the end of the year, I can't say for sure, but most likely that's what's going to happen. But it's only going to be to people that we know, like and trust, and who have a high tolerance, as I like to say, for the hellacious brutality of entrepreneurship. Like if I
Love it.
write you a check, like things get hard, are you going to cry and bounce? Like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Oh my god, you're shaking your head like, yep, yep, yep.
I'm
So
we're running a mastermind on Saturday, and in my messaging today, I put out, "Do not come to this if your feelings are subject to be hurt." This Saturday, we're doing a mastermind, and we're going to get down and dirty. We're going to roast a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself. But
Mhm.
that's how we grow. We got to be honest and open.
That's being kind though. Like so I have a podcast called Parents Making Profits, and my last episode this week was, being kind is greater than being nice, especially to entrepreneurs.
100%.
Especially to entrepreneurs.
But you got to be open to it. Like we get a lot of builders who come through the community and come through the program, and the biggest hurdle that we have at Ambitious Labs is to coach an entrepreneur to chisel down their MVP scope of work. Everybody wants to build this big, big, grand
It's a
product.
mistake.
We got to chisel that thing down and prove that it needs to be out there.
Yeah.
And that's us being kind. That's not us saying that, hey, we don't want you to succeed. That's us being kind and looking out for your time that you never get back
Yes.
in your life.
Once
A
you
year,
burn it, you can't get it back.
you're not getting that time back. So don't waste it trying to build things you haven't validated yet. And like I can't stress that enough. It's us
Yeah,
being
100%. So we're about to wrap up here shortly. Any questions out there before we wrap up? Um, so somebody wanted to know what BIPOC was, but they said they Googled it. So cool. Simon's Googled that. Um, so look, y'all, if you are, especially if you're non-technical, or if you are technical, you just want an easier way to, and more quickly, a faster way to build and validate stuff. But especially if you're non-technical and you're like, because one of the biggest things is, because like on our co-founder matching app, it's the ratio of non-technical to technical is like 4 or 5 to 1. Right? Everybody's trying to find a developer, and developers are sitting back like, nah, I'm good, right? They're getting the pick of the litter from the opportunities, and a lot of the non-technical founders, they're stuck. They can't build, they can't get their product to market, or they don't want to burn $25,000 or $50,000 or whatever it costs to hire somebody, and then have to deal with some of those challenges, the cultural issues you talked about, trying to save a couple of dollars working with somebody overseas.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, it's a It's a problem. So this is a great way for you to learn how to do this yourself. And so, yes, but Sirai, apologize if I spelled it incorrectly. Yes, the app is available in the US only. Thank you for reminding me. I should have said that. Apologies, y'all. For now, right? But that's just where we're starting. But you could join our community and tap in there. That we got founders all over the world in the community. So, um, so here, hang on a second. Somebody's got a comment here. Simon, good to know. I was the only one starting too big. I spent my first 6 months trying to build a massive app and got
Let's
overwhelmed with
go.
it. But I got told to scrap it and start with a small and focused one. And I'm 85% done in 6 weeks. Boom.
Boom.
Is Simon in your class?
We have some Simons, yes. So if it's that Simon, then yes.
Simon, are you in Ambitious Labs? You're in the class?
Yeah, okay. Then it's our Simon, yep.
Yes. I mean, could you have asked for a better testimonial? That's exactly what you're just talking about, right?
No, 100%. We know this. We know when people trust the process, it works. But it's not us. Like, we're not doing the work. Simon's out there grinding. He's out there staying up all night, probably mornings, nights, weekends. He's not going to the bar. He's not going to hang out with his friends. He's not going on a run. He might be giving up the gym. He might be taking sacrifice. He might be eating at McDonald's instead of, a nice restaurant.
Listen,
He's
I'm gonna
taking
ride my bike because I need work-life
I'm saying,
balance.
like, it's not just us. Like, Simon's out here
Yeah,
making a lot of sacrifices. I know
yeah,
everybody is. You are too. I do too.
100%,
Like, I choose to go eat at Chipotle, not a nice restaurant on a Friday night because
100%. Or
I
buy groceries and cook, right, to save money.
I know it takes me so freaking long to make $100 these days that I just value it a lot more. And so
Yeah,
it's not
100%.
it's
Is it
it's
okay if I put your email address up here for people to contact you?
yeah, absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right, cool. So if you want to reach out to Alim, you can reach him at ambitiouslabs.io. Please join. Look, if you're a founder and you're building something dope, like please join our Kabila community. It's free. Join Kabila.com. We're doing some great things over there. Tap in. If you need a co-founder, you can download our app if you're in the United States. Caveat there, but Alim's the real deal. As I told you, we went through Techstars. We were building our app in React, and we scrapped it and built it in Flutterflow. And I'm not technical, but I can get into the back end of the thing and push out notifications and stuff. Yay!
Let's go.
Right? Add stuff to the thing and push out things like yay. So if people like
So,
me can do it,
Ryan,
like, huh?
can I say something about that?
Yes.
Like, that was something that I learned at PrizePicks, was that when you build software, you need to build it for your CEO to use. You're not building it for your users. You're building it for your CEO to operate. So the fact
Yeah.
that like Caleb built you, a tool where you can go and send notifications, that's him being kind to you, right?
Yo, that's a real thing, man. Because my first startup back in 2013, it was built on Ruby on Rails, and we had a blog, and we had this integration using Spree Commerce. It was a mess. Like, if I needed to change anything on the website, I needed to have my developer do. We couldn't just like make. It was no content management system or platform to
Exactly.
make changes, and we can do that with Flutterflow. So it's great. Here's a funny question for you, Aleem. Oh, hang on. Am I qualified to be called technical after I'm done with the Ambition Live Accelerator program?
So we believe that
You said, hell yeah.
we believe that we're creating a new category of builders called full stack no code entrepreneurs, right?
Wow.
This is different than a full stack software engineer, where like that person who's this full stack software engineer can actually write code for the front end, the back end, the database, the APIs. We believe that this new category of education, this new category of builders are completely different. You know how to build full stack systems without actually having to write the code underneath the hood. And I believe that more and more companies are going to hire for these roles. You're seeing Google's laying off left and right, Facebook's laying off left and right. when they rebuild these organizations, they're going to rebuild them knowing that we need to hire people who can be ninjas, Swiss Army knives. And these full stack no coders are the Swiss Army knives of 2030 and beyond.
Wow. All right. Well, we're gonna drop the mic on that.
Let's hit
And
it.
so this was great, Alim. I appreciate you. Again, folks, you can catch up with Alim. This is email. You can email him at alim@ambitiouslabs.io. If you're looking for a co-founder or you want a dope community, co-founder only if you're in the US, but if you're looking for a community, you can go to joincapital.com. We'd love to have you very much. Uh, and Naomi is still on it, man. We love you, Naomi. Thank you so much. So
Naomi,
that's us, man. This replay is going to live on LinkedIn. Please share this with your friends, tag them, so they could get this information and so they could stop being held back and not being able to manifest their dreams, right? Because they don't know how to code. It's ridiculous, right? So that's us. Stand by, Alim. I'm about to roll this outro, and we are going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.